How did we get the first ever community note on a Melee post? Hey friends, Stark here, and I want to talk to you today about a weird instance of discourse that happened on Twitter related to Melee gameplay and how we see lame gameplay, as well as how rage bait and wanting to make others angry has affected how people play Melee. But before I get started, there are two things I want to say. Number one, if you enjoy Melee content and a dude who loves to ramble on about Melee and other things, consider subscribing. I am trying to hit 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I would be honored to have you along for the ride. And number two, no matter what you hear in the video, please be kind to all the players involved. I will delete hateful or discriminatory comments being made about any of the players mentioned, and I'm making this video to highlight the harm that mediums like Twitter can encourage, not as a video meant to incite any further negative contributions. With that in mind, let's explore a curious case of how social media hurts Melee. Now, this all came about from a particular video clip from Toronto-based Jigglypuff Jplums, whose initial premise in the video claimed something simple: I would just like to play one game. The video posted to Twitter is a short clip consisting of several quitouts after Jplums gets a rest on the respective space animal opponents. From first glance, this seems like a classic case of space animal rage, and a puff that is pointing out how they can't get any games because of how others are responding to their play. And as someone who has spoken to many low-tier players, this sentiment is not exactly uncommon, especially in a place like Unranked, where people can quit out with no issue. And this is not the first time in Melee history that we've had to contend with the topic and perspectives of lame play. In fact, Melee has had quite the history of lame play and the players who enable it. We've had several notable rule changes, public statements, and controversial playstyles that are built around the idea of Melee as a lame game. And this idea being both a good thing or a bad thing will change depending on who you ask. As I get into this, I want to remind you that when I use the term lame play, I'm not saying that I think all of this play is lame. I go 0-2 at every tournament I enter, okay? My opinion is very minimal compared to players who invest much more time in it. But Melee has had lots of feedback and reality checks from members of games in other FGC communities, who remind us all the time that it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win the game. And some players see the game exactly as this, and especially in a tournament, I think many people would say do what you can to get the W. And for those who disagree, it's also okay. Some players see the game more as a place for expression and style or swag, who have more fun playing the game more freeform, and it shows how complicated and how different this perspective can be from Melee player to Melee player. As far as playstyles go, Melee has seen its fair share of tactics that are controversial enough that there have been either successful rule changes or attempted rule changes to combat them. And some of these examples include banning pound stalling with Puff, or wobbling with ice climbers, or pushing for ledge grab limits for all characters, but mainly Puff, who seems to benefit from it. And there's also a whole slew of matchups where some characters are able to triangle camp or time out with very high success rates, like Jigglypuff versus Ice Climbers or Fox versus any slow characters. Entertainment value and interactivity in the game both play important roles in how viewers and players want to experience the game. So it's no surprise that people get upset when others attempt to play the game in a way that is uninteractive or lame, even if the purpose is for winning. So we're not unfamiliar with playstyles built around abusing a particular style of play, and especially for the sake of winning. So why are people so upset at Jplums for this clip? Well, a big reason for the many quote tweets and outrage stems from the fact that it seems to be a debate with two sides. those who believe Jplums is playing lame and so they cannot get angry at unranked players who don't want to waste their time playing against Jplums, and the other side who believe in getting good, calling out how these players are doing things like Falco Nair on a crouching puff, which obviously will set up into easy punishes, and that the puff is just playing their game to win. And then there's also a third group of people who are upset at how everyone in this debate is lame because of their overreactions to a clip supposedly affecting the sanctity of Melee. And if this was all there was, I would not have made this video. What I would later find out amidst various tweets, quote tweets, and ideas coming from all over the Melee scenes about this clip would be much weirder and unexpected, but I guess unsurprising in the increasingly brain-rotting era of social media we exist in. As it would turn out, the players that Jplums faced and who they claimed quit out on Jplums would appear in the comments saying that it was actually Jplums, the Jigglypuff, who was quitting out of these games, while framing it on Twitter as the Foxes and Falcos who got rested that were quitting. And this is so odd in an instance that is only possible through the advent of Slippy and the prominence of clout chasing and rage baiting that is trying to make people angry on purpose. This whole story was fabricated by the Jigglypuff player to create vitriolic discourse from both sides. And while Jplums might find it funny, I do think it is a little bit malicious because there's no winning. You either get mad at it, and if you get mad, you get told to go touch grass, it's literally just Twitter, or you don't get mad and you encourage the continuation of behaviors like this. So it's a toxic cycle that social media enables, and given that Slippy is online, it's unranked, we are now consciously choosing to play in ways to bring outrage, to cause discourse. And that's just not something I feel like that was as common before the popularity of social media aligned with Melee. Jplums also actively hid the responses of the opponents who revealed it was Jplums who quit out, which is both shady but also hilarious, and no doubt playing into their plans to cause a little chaos on the timeline. Where it takes an uncomfortable turn is when notable Australian player Sock calls out Jplums' play as the stinky, smelly gameplay that encourages these players to leave, and remember, this was before it came out that Jplums was the one that quit out. Jplums would respond to this quote tweet saying they don't take criticism from whites, which both is unrelated and weirdly racially charged from someone that they don't know the ethnic background of. And it is a uniquely insidious and terminally online thing to do to bring complex topics of race and culture and histories of oppression or marginalization to a surface level slam at someone about a discussion of Melee gameplay. Anyone who is citing hemispheric culture in a discussion clearly not oriented around race or ethnicity is not arguing in good faith, and it is making light of such an important perspective and voice of existence. Now, Sock does a good job at keeping the conversation back on track, and I appreciate calling out attempts to sideline discussions with bad faith argumentation, especially when it seeks to undermine important conversations of which voices are historically heard or ignored, just to make a point in a game like Melee. But this is an example of race and culture attempting to be used to incite further arguments and insults, which is neither productive nor relevant to the Melee topic at hand. And why this video to me is something worth making is because it is the perfect storm of Twitter, serving as a place where people thrive on making others upset, at gaining points and follows for being a dick, and where complex topics about race and voice are intermingled with Melee gameplay of all things for no other reason than to stir pots. And I think this is indicative of how Twitter and other social medias have really tainted what discourse and productive discussions mean in the Melee community. And even though this is not a situation to lose sleep over, it's indicative of how much trolling and clout chasing has impacted, like just normal communication with people who are also in the same community. So I am asking you all a question that TechnoSpider frames so well. When it comes to lame play, do you regard this Puff player's gameplay And it could be any Jigglypuff that plays with this same style of gameplay, or any character, with respect or disgust. I hope this video comes out not as a bash on any particular player, but as a reminder at how distorted the world can look when we see through the eyes of social media. Let me know your thoughts on lame play. Is it okay? Is it hurting the game? Is it helping the game? Is it different in friendlies or on unranked or in tournaments? I want to hear what you think related to the gameplay. Try to keep it kind. Don't comment anything discriminatory. Again, I will delete it. But I wanted to share this weird story with you all about how gameplay can be so far removed from the discourse that we have when social media is involved. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'll see you in the next video.